loy by una far.
Gai mà nhau lột trương, gai mà nhau lột trương lột.
Jama kwe gai ruja du pupen jenu ba kena dun lew. Jenu kwa ba kena dolar piang bai alwen toy ke ban dolar adu. Dikin bang tundung dolar kidal. Kuran kin dolar tial juan kin ma kwe pa ko kin dolar juga. Jama kwe gai ruja du pupen jenu ba kena dun lew. Jenu kwa ba kena dolar piang bai alwen toy ke ban dolar adu. Dikin bang tundung dolar kidal. Kuran kin dolar tial juan kin ma kwe pa ko kin dolar juga. Jama kwe gai ruja du pupen jenu ba kena dun lew. Jenu kwa ba kena dolar piang bai alwen toy ke ban dolar adu. Dikin bang tundung dolar kidal. Kuran kin dolar tial juan kin ma kwe pa ko kin dolar juga. Dikin bang tundung dolar kidal. Kuran kin dolar tial juan kin ma kwe pa ko kin dolar juga. Dikin bang tundung dolar kidal. Kuran kin dolar tial juan kin ma kwe pa ko kin dolar juga. Jadan yom gula yom kala yom be dom be magala par majong awan kijama majing kemana tialam dan panda kumala utong akur betong apa dong betul betul dong tialam wa bangke tialam itu na udia udah kamu ya bagi utong udah tahu ni keluar ni punya kekiran kamu bukan bot jelek isen media iran banai anggur tu yang tialam mana koi kawan mi ai chokan wel tu jadi bai wala berjam di chokan opal chokular bai bala purang jadan yom kuda yom kala yom be dom be magala par majong awan kijama majing kemana tialam dan panda kumala utong akur betong abang dong betul betul dong tialam wa bangke tialam itu na udia udah kamu ya pagi gurtong udah tahu ni keluar ni punya aku kekiran kamlon bukan bot jelek isen media iran banai anggur tu yang tialam mana koi kawan dia jogan wel tu jadi bai kula berdiam di jogan opal chokular.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to Legislative Media. My name is Abraham Madin Majak, and my guest this evening in Nairobi and this afternoon in Australia and wherever you are for turning in. Please start sharing this live video. We have very important breaking news going on in our country. As we all know that the Parliament has passed the bill. And this bill has weighed a lot of outrage. So the citizens are not happy with this bill. And also, we will be talking about the two important things. We will talk about the passing of this bill, and also we'll be talk about the election, upcoming election. And we see that there is a rumors going on that the election would be extension to 24 months. Those are the two things that we will discuss. Let me welcome Irmuni Yakani again to weigh in this, and then we will discuss more, and we will open for discussion. So welcome Irmuni Yakani to Legislative Media. Thank you for joining us again. Irmun, I see you have been in social media. I see you talk to Radio Tomasi this morning, and you weighed in your concern about this bill. Can you give us highlight? What do you think about the bill that the Parliament has this morning in Juba? Oh, mute yourself.
First, thank you very much for hosting me in this particular moment and this particular hour. And I would like to dedicate this time just to make sure that we stand for the nation that is a democratic. And thanks for Lex Media for always hosting me and bringing me for such hot topics, and we exchange opinions among ourselves. The bill passage. The first thing I'll say, I'm so disappointed. Why am I disappointed? Because this bill have carried together the actions of our previous oppressors that we fought for 21 years and where we have lost lives of 4 million people. And this bill is entertaining these political attitudes of oppression and marginalization that we are against. These are the values that used by then by our oppressors, by our enemies of our democratic growth of having an independent Republic of South Sudan. But we fought until we got the independence. To my nightmare, to my surprise, is that we are borrowing those values together with us, as if among us we didn't all struggle together to have the independent Republic of South Sudan. That's really my point of disappointment. Why? If you empower any state agent to have a power of arrest without a warrant of arrest, that power can be abused. And I'm not using a very bad references. Those who today support the bill, in the next 2 or 3 months, some of them will test the price of the bill they have passed. Today, you may be seeing yourself, you're powerful, you're too much close to the authority, and you embrace it. But in the next 6 or 4 months, the moment you get discontented, the same law you pass will be applied on you. I'm not using bad references. Look at what previous late John Locke have done with the Constitution. And how does he end up as FD? And I remember in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa in 2015, he was using it as a point of regret in the Committee of Governance, where I'm a member too, because we have working groups of governance. He was really regretting that he did a mistake. The current lawmakers who stood up behind the bill will one day, one time also regret and say, hey, we didn't know that we are passing a bill that is going to affect us. This is one thing with the bill, before we go to the details of the bill. The second thing, my brother Abraham, with the bill, I realize today's the level of the parliament, in the level of disagreement and discontented position, reminding me of 2016 action on the same bill, or actually 2015 on the same bill, where the region, some MPs from the region of Equatoria and Upper Nile walk away. It didn't take time, we fall back into violence. The way this bill today is passed is a clear recipe and a trigger for a potential occurrence of violence. And as the country is expecting elections, as the country is expecting incorporation of a new political players into the political playing field in the country through the Nairobi Tumaini initiative, the opposition that were not signatory to the revitalized peace agreement, they're going to go and join the government. So the behaviors of the political attitudes today is a bit worrying. And it's telling me very clear that we have a class of political elites who actually survive in the political arena by making sure they subject the country to violence. The country without having violence, they can't survive as politicians. That is the second point of my observation. My third point of observation is that the passage of this bill is a slap to the spirit of the peace processes in Nairobi. It's a real slap on the face of the peace process in Nairobi. Why? Because it's a bill that is subject for question in the Nairobi peace process. And still, I feel based on Nairobi peace process, whatever has been passed today in the parliament will still be subjected for review. Even if it's signed to law, it is still to be subjected because this is one of the bill that is seriously questioned in the Nairobi peace process. The same articles, actually even people went as far as questioning Article 57. Not only 55 and 54, even 57 was questioned. And the mandate of the institution per the bill has been questioned, which is contradictory to constitutional provision. So it still there's opportunity that through Nairobi peace process, this bill will be open up for questioning. And remember, it's one of the preconditions, by the way. I can remember Nairobi here. The opposition made these 2 sections as a precondition for them to appendix whatever outcome comes or they return to Juba. When we're deliberating on the security arrangement is one of the strongest points that were raised by the opposition. that these two articles, as long as they exist, they don't feel there's a spirit of a successful political transition in the country where the spirit of freedoms of expression, assembly, association, and constructive debate for questioning check and balance for transparency and accountability will be embraced as long as these provisions remain, because these provisions can be abused by authority in power today. We may not suspect the current authority in power. They're going to go. They are not going to remain there forever. But the generations to come behind them will get these particular provisions and abuse, and the reference will be made to the current leaders that are in the parliament. So for me, these are my observations around the bill, that this bill is confusing. And by the way, also, this bill is building in us culture of losing the spirit of nationalism. We become separatists, we become cliquism, start influencing us, we start looking into how they are. And unfortunately, this is a statement I would like to make to all audience who are listening. Unfortunately, the champions of this bill in the parliament are actually people who joined the SPLM, whom we know them by individual by name, that they were the perpetrators of 1992. They have been working with Sudan National Security Service. Some of the voices that champion this bill are actual agencies that have accused quite a number of our lives in 1992 in Juba were lost to the White House. We know them. I grew up in Juba. I was a student in Juba. I studied in all the primary schools, the secondary schools. So we know them who they are. And we know them during the regime of Bashir, during the regime of Samsedin, during Salah Gos, during Hamdoum, a governor called Hamdoum for Bahar Jebel. We know them. Some of them today are claiming they're die-hard SPLM. I don't know why SPLM allows such people to insult the spirit of the struggle, to be hijacked by these people. And today they're applying the same principles that we have lost number of South Sudanese in White House into the river, to a river that has been thrown in sacks with storms, in the security building of close to the migration office, in Mudarat. We know them. Today, they're the champion of the same section of the bills. And as if SPLM are being blindfolded, if I can use them as a reference point, is that the value of the struggle? People who have claimed lives of our own fellow South Sudanese who have been then insiders for the struggle are today empowered to bring a such bill on our face with those provisions. It is a sad moment. It's a sad action by our lawmakers, as if they have not seen what happened to us when we're struggling. And then why do we struggle if we're to have such powers? And some of them were saying the security of the country is in jeopardy because of the absence of this bill. Are they selective? Who are they referring to as a threat? If we all can have the spirit of debate among ourselves, this bill can't be a trigger of a continuous violence. Unfortunately, actually sustaining these two sections of the bills are trigger of a sustainable violence in the country. That's what I'd like to make it very straightforward. And this is a subject for argument that we can argue among ourselves. And I know people in the National Security Services that even may not be feeling impressed with this bill, except this bill favors some few individuals. And you know, some people are buying favor by making sure these provisions goes, because they are looking at certain particular individuals. Now, when you start building a law, like such law, because you want to respond to your fear towards certain individuals, remember generations are going to come and use this law. What will be your legacy? Will your legacy be only memory of promoting laws that create violence among communities? No. Now, let's come to reality, the other side of the bill. Today, passage of the bill, it's a clear slap on the face of president in particular and the members of the presidency. How? On 21st February 2023, the presidency met and agreed that these provisions should be removed. Decision of the presidency is being slapped on their face by the parliamentarians, by the way. I don't know how the presidency is going to see this when they can see lawmakers and they as the highest authority of the country. Now, when the highest authority of the country is being undermined by subordinates on their decision That is a political sabotage. Yes, they may impress it, but it's a slap in the eye of the citizens. This is number one. And this is really questioning authority of the presidency. That's number one, slap. Number two, slap. On 24th March 2024, the Council of Ministers met and made a Council of Ministers resolution that they are removing this article. And this information was communicated by Honorable Michael Makwe as a spokesperson of the government. That the Council of Ministers have agreed that these particular provisions, these particular articles will be removed. Now also, it's a slap on the face of Council of Ministers. So two highest institutions have received today a slap on their face. A slap on the face of the presidency, a slap on the face of the Council of Ministers by the passage of this bill. But as I said, still there's opportunity on the table under Tumaini initiative because the same bill is questioned in terms of security sector reform and transformation and professionalism, and specifically these two provisions. What is wrong with it? What is wrong with it, my brothers and sisters, is that particular provision that say you can be arrested without a warrant of arrest. While actually, in a legal practice, for example, citizens, if I come across somebody, Abraham, you're fighting with, and you pull out a knife, you want to kill the person, I don't need to wait for police. I will arrest you, hold you, take you to the police without harming you, and hand over to the police, say, hey, I find these two people fighting. I saw Abraham pulling a knife. He want to knife this person in my eye. But because I respect human rights and I respect the right to life, I was able to get hold of Abraham. Here I'm bringing it to you as a police. Take the necessary legal steps because I feel he is in conflict with the law. This is a legal practice in any country. But it contains standards. Unfortunately, this is going to be subject for abuse. And how is abuse today? Remember, Parliament is a house of the people. Today, activists were denied access to the Parliament, and some of them have undergone investigation for 40 minutes, including our own monitors. I have my own organization monitors that are going to the Parliament. Usually, they go to Parliament. Today, they were being interrogated. While Parliament is supposed to be open, there's a public gallery. We have nothing to do, we have nothing to argue, we have nothing to report, but we're going to observe. So look at this practice. Now, the political mood, instead of gaining momentum for successful political transition in the country, now the political mood of the public is being questioned by the enactment of this bill. It have reminded people of exactly what happened when this bill was in the room and some parliamentarians walk away and the country fall into violence. And also this bill, I'm quite sure, it have huge negative implications on the spirit of the Tumaini, which we are almost finalizing it. You see? But also it have given the government delegation to Tumaini initiative a bit of questions in terms of the spirit of being genuinely to engage on political transitional processes that will benefit the best interest of the country, which is mainly we want to make sure respect of human rights, respect of rule of law, having a spirit of check and balance where transparency and accountability is impressed. Unfortunately, this bill today have questioned those values and have made a big chunk of the population today a question. Abraham have been receiving messages after messages, call after call. What is this? And this has empowered the opposition that refused to come to the Tumaini and say, look here, the political attitude in Juba is actually not for the benefit of the country to be stable. They are for remaining the country to be in instability. And then the timing. Look at this timing, Abraham. The timing is that today, presidency is receiving the review and the evaluation of the implementation of the roadmap from the level committee. And today, a team which left Nairobi yesterday, were briefing the president on the progress scored under Tumaini. All these teams are supposed to score a political gain to impress the leadership of the president as a legacy. Unfortunately, it was being undone by the passage of this bill. And look at the video of the parliament, how the parliament is divided. Can you say the political leaders of South Sudan have gained trust and confidence that can transition the country out of violence to peace, it's not possible. The indicator clearly is not possible. It shows clearly that our political leaders are still having personal grievances, that even they want to enact legislation to respond to their personal grievances. By the way, these behaviors of the act is not an act to respond to overall ultimate goal of a constitutional value of the Republic of South Sudan. It is an exercise to respond to some few individuals that want to use this bill to attack some individuals or claim lives of some individuals or shrink a civic space for some individuals, not the whole country. It's not a constitutional value. So that is my take on the bill. And it's really annoying. And that's why my way forward, I'm appealing for President, His Excellency President, and the members of the presidency to maintain their reputation and their value, that they respect the outcry of the citizen by making sure this bill they decline and return it back to the parliament. Because remember, by the virtue of this bill is not signed by the president into a law, in 30 days, it will become a law. The only act president has to do is return this bill back to the parliament, or return back to the Council of Ministers or to the Minister of Justice, so that president shows the nation he stands for the growth of democracy by his decision of 21st April 2023 that he told the nation under his leadership this article should be removed. Today, his subordinates say under his leadership, his decision is not correct. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edmund Yakani. Before I have a article for the bill, for the bill that was passed in October 2014 bill. Before I do that, let me play the video how the parliament was act like in the parliament today. You see the reaction? What do you think about that?
That reaction is sending a very bad signal. That reaction is sending the parliament is divided. It means the nation is divided. That reaction will aid other voices that are against the system will say, that's a clear example. We can't continue agreeing with the system to continue for political transition. And that's why I'm saying my humble appeal goes back to His Excellency President. President must take a bold decision like what he did with the east of the states. When they were have 32 states, the debate was very hot. More similar like this one in the Freedom Hall. And President went and responded to the interests of the citizens and reversed the 2 states to 10 states. This is the same test for the president to really reverse his decision, making sure he send this bill back to either the parliament or send it back to the Minister of Justice. President have an opportunity to rescue the country. You may see the number small. You may undermine the number small. You may feel you're powerful. You may feel you can deal with them. But it's already a track record. It's a history. It's an objective that other people will utilize it to face the reality. And how much it costs, it will be headache. So that's why my appeal goes back with due respect and honor. I respect His Excellency. I have seen him quite a number of such challenging moments, make a rightful decision. Time has come for him to rescue the country. That parliament is divided. That parliament have declared already culture of return to violence. We must not allow it to continue. And it's His Excellency President to make sure that he take that decision and fix the country to a right track. As he said when he came for the launching of the Tumaini, peace is the objective that he want to leave as a legacy. Is the same thing we need him to repeat, telling the parliament, this is not the way how legislation for building a state and a government should be for the Republic of South Sudan. Respect of the lives of those whom we lost due to the struggle is very important. So for me, my appeal goes back to His Excellency President, and also I appeal to the presidency. I hope it will be an agenda of the presidency, the way how this bill was passed. I know elections coming. Some people are scared of the votes, so they want to create an environment that make them rig. They want to create an environment that make them scare other people. They want to make an environment that give them chance to deal with the lives of other people before vote. But what will that all equal? This all will mount to sins against the nation, and the nation will continue suffering. So the parliament is divided. The parliament is not one. Thank you.
Thank you, Edmund. And before we move in, I have some people here, Comrade Mondon and 412 and Warile. Thank you for joining in. Before I give a chance to the South Sudanese clubhouse to wait in, let me read for those of you. I won't read Article 54 and 55. So some of you don't have the article, the law is on the page 24. Let me read this one, Article 54. Number one, Article 54 say any person who is found committing any of one of the offense against the state has provided under the Section 7 of this Act, or who is reasonably suspected of having committed or having attempted to commit it or being able to commit it, such as offense, shall be arrested without a warrant by any service officers and detained. Okay. Number two, any person arrested under the provision of this section shall, whether or not the services inquiry are complete, be brought before migrated as soon as reasonable, practicable within 24 hours. So you see, in 24 hours, if somebody arrests and within 24 hours, this person, you have to see a judge within 24 hours, but that's not the case in South Sudan. But in the law, they say within 24 hours, you have to see a judge. Okay, number three, once as an arrest person is produced before majesty or judge, the process shall be proceed as provided for arrest with a warrant under Section 55 law. So Section 55, arrest with warrant. Okay, number one, where the Director General or employee designed it by him or her has reasonable grounds to believe that a warrant is required to eligible the services to perform any of its functions under this Act. The Director General or designed employee may apply for these issues of a warrant. So number two, an application under subsection 1 above shall be made to the judge of the High Court for the warrant under this section. Okay, number three, any application under subsection 1 shall be specifically A, the purpose for which the warrant is sent, B, whether the urgency of the matter is such that it would be impossible or carrying out the investigation using any other investigative produce, or that without a warrant it is likely that information of importance with respect to the investigation would not be obtained. C, the type of information, material, record, or document proposed to be maintained and the power referred to subsection 4 of this section prove that to be excised for the purpose. D, identify of the person, if the known, who has possession of the information, material, recording, and document, or purpose of maintain. C, the person or the class of person whom the warrant is proposed to direct, and F, a general prescription of the place where the warrant is proposed be executed. And 4, the judge may issue a warrant under this section, authorize the action or any person, weapon, tool, machine, automobile, or any other material specifically within. A warrant issues under this section shall be invalid, period. So those are the, that is the law. This is the law 54 and 55. These are the articles that people are saying. So what do you see about that, Irmun? And let me, yeah, go ahead, and then I will bring in.
You know, in writings of the law, the main problem is there's no clear clarity on what warrant is a crime or an act that is against the state, and you deserve to be arrested with that warrant. Anybody can make a proper his own personal interpretation on that. And this has been the practice of Sudan, which is not the value that we stand for in South Sudan. And that's what people are saying. You either remove Article 54 and 55, or you either reform it. I remember one time I was in a studio in a Catholic Radio Network. We are together with the previous spokesperson of the parliament, John Agany. We are arguing with John Agany, and John Agany agreed on the concept of to be reformed. Proper clarity, and there should be a limitation of exercise. And this concept that you are supposed to be arrested without a warrant is an old provisions that are not embracing principle of human rights, because anybody can abuse it. I don't know if some of you have been following. If you see when Sudan was unfolding, and when Binoff was almost acting as a president after the fall of Bashir, there were arrests that happened. There were few people from National Security Service of Sudan were texting in their Facebook page that they are sorry. They wish that if they knew the law they have right now is going to mistreat them like that, they could have reformed the law before things unfold. Because it's the same values that anybody can abuse it. Our concept is not that we are against the service, because these services, everybody can be there. It's a national service. Everybody can be there. But we don't want to empower individuals that take the law into their hand and use it for denying other people democratic values. That is a problem. Respect of human rights, application of rule of law. Those are the problems associated with the articles. And that's why interpretation require to be clarified. And that's why we say you either remove it or you reform it. But passing it as it is. And what shame me, Abraham? What shame me is these practices that we slap the president's decision. We slap the Council of Ministers' decision. Why should the presidency accept it? What the parliament could have done, they could have offered a reform agenda to these articles, not passing it exactly as it is, as a middle ground, as a compromise. But passing it as like that, it's a real slap on the face of the president. It's a real slap on the face of the Council of Ministers. I don't know how the Council of Ministers are going to sit on Friday and how they're going to look into this bill that they decided on the date of 24th March 2024 by saying, let this bill out, and been communicated officially. Should such body contradict itself? Will the citizen have trust and confidence on decision of such institutions? So why should the MPs do that? Why are they not reforming it if they don't remove it? Thank you.
Thank you. Another fear. Another fear to Irmun, this bill. We have seen what happened, what's going on in Nairobi. When the protests go out, the parliament passed their bill, and that the citizens didn't like. My question to you: if president is not acting in this, do you think there would be something will be going on like what happened in Nairobi, in Kenya, in South Sudan, regarding this bill?
Obviously, people will tell you it's not possible because of the behaviors and the citizens' view of the law enforcement agencies being aggressive. They may use live bullets. But I'd like to say tolerance have a limit. Tolerance have a limit. Already you have registered pocket strikes that are coming from civil servants. You remember in Western Baragazal University. Remember the incident in Jongole, and remember 2 days ago incident in Lake State. So you may undermine those voices, but those voices may amalgamate, may grow, may become, and one day people may come out and say, to hell, enough is enough. Deal with us, but do not deal with the nation. That is our worry. And that's why I think His Excellency President have a big opportunity to rescue the country the same way he rescued when we were clashing over the issue of the 32 states. And I remember even the President's view, from his intelligence, from his wisdom, he have realized the country is going to unfold if he continue imposing the 32 states. It's the same thing with this bill. There's a need to have an honest discussion on this bill. Yes, we may not remove the sections, but we may reform the sections as a last resort. If don't remove it, reform it. And if reforming it where it have adherence to constitutional values like the Bill of Rights, to international standard like the UN Convention on Civil and Political Rights, which we are now a state party to it. Like the African Charter for Democracy, Good Governance and Elections, which were part to it. To some values of East African community that we are member to it. So take into account certain standards. Don't allow it to go the same way how the Jalaba was using it for us. You are reminding us of the Jalaba. And this is the painful part of it. That you are reminding of Salagos. You are telling us that Salagos is still continue through the legislation upon us. And what Salagos is no longer there in Khartoum. This is a problem. This is the argument we have. And this is why we're asking, with due respect and honor, our leaders in our national security service, in the security sector, all in the presidency, close the president, that please value the outcry of the citizens. You are not there forever. One day you will leave this earth, you will leave South Sudan. Leave the legacy behind, something people can remember you for good. So people don't remember you for taking away lives of people by having a law that does not respect human rights. Yes, we know some of us have a very bad political attitude towards transfer of power, but you have other means to discipline them, not by giving us Salagos on our head, on our face. And Salagos was being fought for almost 21 years in his institution. Why should we do that? We don't value our struggle. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me bring in 412. Are you there? You have a question or comment regarding about the topic? 412, you are not there? Okay. Manon, go ahead. And what do you think about this bill, Manon? Or if you have a question to Idmon? Manon, are you there? Hi. Clubhouse, do you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, maybe Manon is still far away. Okay, Warele, go ahead with your question if you have.
Okay, thank you, Madid. Thank you very much. You don't hear me?
Okay, now we can hear you.
Go ahead, Manon. Okay, thank you. First of all, my greeting to our guests, and also greeting to South Sudanese who joined the room. Good evening to all of you. Regarding the passing of the security bill, which is 2015 amended 2024, and I heard also the reaction from opposing view National Legislative Assembly, Transition National Legislative
Can you hear him?
And also we've seen the number of people who vote in favor of the law, because according to reports, there is 391 and then 275 vote for the favor of the law to pass the amendment, and then 130, and then 3 absentee based on the result. If we look in democratic principle, majority voice always win, even though we don't agree with them. We respect the view of majority. And it has been what we have observed, like the way now as admin is actually relying on leadership at the top. And that alone is against democracy also. Because it would depend the decision to come at the presidency to dictate rather than advocate lawmakers, even though they are appointed. They know exactly what they are voting for. And if it turns out through the voting, even though we don't agree in democratic principle, we respect. And that's why, and that's the way democracy is. We don't have to agree for everything. Things does not go to our favor in the way of voting, even though it's wrong voting. We respect it. We respect the view of others. That's the way it is. And you can turn around. Does not mean it's the end of the game. You can go and advocate over and over until you turn around to your favor. That the way that you want this bill to look alike, you can advocate for until you reach that level. As long as the vote proceeds, the vote decides to amend the law, I think it's become a law. In order to change that law, you have to advocate for majority voting in National Legislative Assembly to amend it the way you want it. And that will need work. It will need advocacy, it will need some work. So in terms of democracy, I think it was passed by majority. It does not mean you cannot protest as a minority. Whoever lost the vote can protest. But it does not dictate. It can dictate the view of voting. You cannot dictate that. No basic of democracy here.
Yes.
Second point, about warranty without, arresting without a warrant. A lot of the voices are complaining on that. And you read the article that actually this is direct to those who are actually committing the crime against the state. And we know example of those who are committing crime against the state. People who can fight over the power by force. Through the coup is a part of the example of the crime against the state. Because our constitution does not allow to overthrow the government by force. It has to be through the process of democracy, through the election. I think that's one of the examples. In a democratic country like United States, they witnessed during the 9/11, the Patriot Act until today, allowed the agency to share the information, allowed the agency for imminent threat to arrest. Whether they have warrants or not, they can arrest. Allow the agency until today to review or even monitoring your financial activities. Totally violate the privacy. Privacy have been violated. But it is necessary. So they're fighting the war against terror. That's why they adopted. Doesn't mean that this law is really is good law. No, it's not a good law. It's not a good law in terms of democratic principle because it violates privacy of the people. But if you look into it, it is for the interests of great good of that nation by that whole American citizen and against American existence as a nation. The same thing is applied to our country. The country is full of violence. One in the law that actually you have to go to the judge, you have to go to the attorney general in order for you to act. You know, even in principle here in the United States, there are some arrests that can be done without warrants. For example, if your vehicle have a drug, imminent drug in your vehicle, they have right to your vehicle, they have right to arrest you. It's police. They don't need it. Yes, by the law, they have to show you why they stop you, why they should arrest you. They have to explain to you. They have to show you a warrant to arrest. That's what the law said. But there are some circumstances that the police doesn't need it.
Manon, can I?
Then they still can present it. So my question here, in the situation of South Sudan now, the situation that we are in in situation that the South Sudan is in now.
Mm-hmm.
Arrest without warrant is the big issue that concerns us.
Mm-hmm.
That's my question here. And if it is, what is the proper way for fixing or reform?
Yep. Can I respond to Manon?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Manon, thank you. I respect your opinion in terms of principle of democracy, respect of majority. Okay, if the majority decided, but also, of course, majority respect the rights of the minority in advocating. And that's why when I was appealing to the president, my appeal is an advocacy work. Like the way you say you can continue advocacy, I will continue advocacy, appealing to the president to consider the voices of the minority. That is one thing I like to tell to Manon. But there's a few people out to them. Manon, the calculation of the votes of today, I wish you are in the parliament. We're speaking because we have presence in the parliament. The voting today was not done in secret ballot so that those numbers are calculated. The voting today was done by the speaker. Those who are in favor of the bill should stand up. It's not, I wish that the voting, that calculation is done, and those numbers could have been declared in the parliament. These numbers were declared by the spokesperson of the parliament and declared in the SSBC because actually there's no proper calculation. Manon. People are asked to stand up. People who stand up are the ruling party plus opposition. All of them stand up. And then, I remember in the university, we used to rig election like that. If you want to win the election, come occupy the 2 rows of the front seats. And you just ask the students, those who want so to be a candidate, stand up. You 2 rows in the front, stand up. The rest of the majority, even if they're behind there, they cannot stand up. And that's why you see the breakout of the parliament. And by the way, that exercise of the parliament is an exercise within the parliament. They can't do that exercise outside because it's a democratic practice. So I do agree with you in terms of democratic respect, is that respect when people make their choices. I wish the choices is being done in a democratic manner, the numbers that you calculate. 2, nobody have dismissed the law that the law is bad. We had a problem with the interpretation of the section of this law. Of course, as I've given an example, not necessarily police, not necessarily people, national security. A common citizen, there are certain acts that against the state, you will react. You don't wait for the law. That is all over the world is there. We agree with that. In a manner that you don't harm the person. In a manner you don't harm the person, you respect the person's right to life. You take him to the concerned authority, like police, and the police take the legal procedures. That is everywhere, not only in the US, everywhere, all over the world. That's happening. Even here in South Sudan, I remember one time we have done the same. We have come across, if you remember this unknown gunman, in our areas we realized there are people who are abusing the uniform of the army. And we didn't wait for the army. We just in Munuki, we round them up, then we call the authorities, look here, we are worried about these people, they have uniforms here, and we don't know how to get this uniform, and I've never seen them undergoing training. Only the way the uniform do not have. They picked up. They came and appreciate. They said, this is what we call community policing. They said, thank you very much for protecting the safety of the country. That's everybody's there. That one you don't disagree. That one you don't disagree. Okay? But the voting that was done, there's no voting that was done in the it's just matter of stand up. People stand up. And I've got some MPs who are there. And that's why the riot comes in terms of the voting. This is one thing I'll say. Number 2, let's come to your concern about the warrant in terms of the context of South Sudan. Yes. If we develop a law and you are targeting certain class of individuals, the moment those class of individuals are not there, we will not get it. Yes, I know in South Sudan there are incidences, for example, like as you have mentioned, example as a coup. Coup is been used several times as a justification. But there are systems you can deal with them. For instance, it could have been very good in terms of Brother Manon, and which I think is a point of constructive argument with you. We could have defined what is called security of the country or insecurity against the state. Those actions that we qualify them to be an insecurity, we can define them, and you can see in several laws. I'm quite sure you are in US. If you investigate in US, every law have definition of every praise. That praise were bit what been abused. So it's not that people are against the law. That's what I'm saying. If you don't remove it, reform it. What would be the reform agenda? The reform agenda could be maintain the same section 54, 55, but give proper interpretation that gives nobody to have a self-interpretation. Even the warrant that arrest, it's a practice, by the way. Manon, is a practice, but it was a clear, defined practice. that nobody abuse it and nobody run away with it. If you want to run away with people, say, no, this is not the way how you exercise the right of others without a warrant. This is an act that does not qualify to be an insecurity against the state or the nation. So those are the things we're demanding for the reforms. And my advocacy for the president is that I'm advocating for the president to consider the fear that we have. Manon, it's not that we're against it. And it's not that because we refer to an authority up there. Because in South Sudan, what else do you have? Everything is at the highest authority. And even people are getting rumors that some of the parliamentarians have been bribed, they made hours, have been paid money. And some of them are disclosing it. So now, if you start practicing an acting of legislation in a manner that the consent of democracy is not respected, it's a big challenge. The concept of democracy is respected when majority stood up. And we have incidences that we have people who are very intellectual informed. We have overcome them because we believe on the decision of the majority. Manon, I'm somebody who's close to the legislative. I know we have supported decision of the legislative, that even some of us who have been leveled that we are members of national security for supporting those ones. But we support them because we know the intention. And we know some people don't take it for political gain. The same bill, some people don't run it for political gain. But now what we're challenging is that we're challenging that place the provisions, as read by our brother Abraham, there's an ambiguity, there's a loopholes. Can you close those loopholes by reforming them? And I wish the parliament would have not go for it like that. The parliament would have reformed it. But there are few people who pass this and simply because you know there's this class of individuals who like to make these behaviors. Let's control them. Elections coming. That's not the way. So I respect your opinion. As the same way I respect your opinion, we do agree with you that there's a challenge we need to mitigate as this bill is concerned. The angle I'm coming from is that if you don't remove it, reform it. And my reform is that please provide proper interpretation of what you mean by national security or crime against the state. Put the list of the crime against the state so that everybody knows that, you know, when you commit, and even this one does not wait for somebody from national security. The moment I know a crime against the state is defined, I will immediately voluntarily report whether the security is informal or not informal, so that this person is committing something, crime against, I will call them. I will volunteer to perform the duty for the safety and security of my country. So, Manon, those are the values that we're looking for. We're not disagreeing, but we are all campaigning for better practices. And all over the world, there's a practice is that, as we see, as we agree with you, in US, everywhere is applied. It's not only in US, even the village, forget about US, even the village, we can apply them. As long as you know somebody is want to kill someone and there's no police, you don't wait for police because you don't see somebody claiming a life of another person. So our question is that let us reform it, Manon. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yes, thank you, Ustaz Edmund. I think the problem that I note even from our transitional national legislative assembly, because I'm one of people that believe that we still have the challenge of establishment of political parties in the country, and we're still in the process. Yet even my own party still facing a lot of challenges to be considered, like establishment of the political party system. That because the issue we have witnessed here in the Western world, even in the US, there is always take and give, you know, and there is always bi-party in when it comes to controversial laws. Like now, in the protests in the parliament, people are just protesting like they are in the street, which is their right. But what compromise
Yes.
on?
Yes.
Compromise on? What do the APA, what do they really propose to convene even other side? Convene other side to come to the point that this is fair enough. Dealing with this type of laws for the interest of the country, for what there should be something like that. But what I have seen is just black and white. And we cannot run country like that. It's a compromise, always. But you cannot say, yes, I want this to be removed. For something, put some proposal, pursue your partner, because at the end of the day, we are partners for this country together. We are partners. And the only way we can move things is to talk, offer some compromise, offer some convenience to the other side in order for us to come and agree. There's a lot of laws, even in the US, democratic country. There's some issue always when they have to compromise. They have to vote as what they call a partisan compromise, and then they vote for this bill without problem, you know. But for us, there's nothing like that, and this is the challenge. This is the challenge, and that's why I say even we don't have political parties that are established, understanding how the rule of the game democracy work. This is the problem. Like now, I don't know. Maybe you can give us the other side of that element. What do they offer? What do they propose? Those in the parliament who are actually advocating for defining. I agree with you. Yes, defining what is considered as a crime against the state and what is not considered as a crime against the state. That they have to look for warrant arrest, or even national security should not interfere in that because it's a police subject to the police responsibility. Because I don't believe that everything is a national security. Like one of national security have problem with me and then report me national security and he's already a civil case. He have no right to do that. He can go and open the case in the police like any other citizen. Because this have nothing to do with the job that is actually duty as a national security.
Right. They are talking.
And those are the things that we can agree on. Those things we can agree on. At least we don't want to do something with our country. Otherwise, it's a give and take. And I think there is a way we can compromise. But what I see here, there's no compromise at all. Everything either I defeat you or you defeat me. I don't think we can build a nation like that. So let us. Do you know exactly what they were offering, what they were IO or other opposition, what really they are proposing, what they are proposing in terms of reform of the law itself, like issue of definition, what is considered as committed crime against the state and what is not. I think it's a simple thing that we can agree on. Thank you.
Yeah, let me provide the other side of the story. My brother Manon, by your question. I would like to provide that for the last 2 years, I'm closely engaged as an organization plus other organization on this bill. We're engaged in this approach, man. We've engaged where we had a dialogue with the ruling party, we had a dialogue with the opposition, and we had a dialogue with academia. And we work with the committee in the parliament for what we call security, defense, and public order. We realized that, okay, look here, there's two scenarios. One scenario, you remove it as recommended by the presidency and seconded by the Council of Ministers. Or if you want to maintain it, and this is where me personally, we had a lengthy discussion with the former spokesman of the parliament, John Akanyi, about the reform. What is the reforms? The reforms are one, define what is called a crime against the state. To exactly provide an understanding what do you mean by crime against the state. That is one thing. Two, the capacity of the warrant for arrest. Define when does the warrant, the arrest of that warrant is commissioned. When do you commission it? Because as I want to tell you, Manon, a citizen, even not in uniform, can have that responsibility. As long you knew somebody is carrying a gun and is entering to a church to kill, or is entered to a hospital to kill, or is going to market to a kill, or is going to kill a wife or a husband or anybody or a child. If you have the capacity to hold him, not to execute that crime, it's the same exercise, by the way, Manon. It's the same exercise, but you need to give certain limitations so that nobody abuses it. This is the second thing in the reform is that with the capacity, the responsibility of national security to arrest, whether with warrant or that warrant, is being disputed by all across the board. Even I'll tell you, within the SPLM, I know members who are afraid that the day I'm going to question my party and as election is coming, I'm going to run independent, I'm going to be subjected for this. So is it a police role? When does national security assume the role to arrest? Under which circumstances, under which crime? If it's a crime against the state, then put those crimes there. Do some of the reforms that were proposed by the opposition. But where is the problem of the reforms? The voices that were speaking about reforms in all the levels have been heard, by the way. The first reading, the second reading, the third reading, those ones have been heard. Even at the level of committee dialogue, they have been heard. But you know what happened, Manon? And this is where we need to correct things. With some few individuals who ran away with the law at last minute. So there's some few clique of individuals whom I don't want to name them here because I don't want to enter to a personal classes with somebody. I'm not attacking personality always in my activism. I like to address issues and content. I'm not attacking personality. There are few individuals who like to run with the law and want to buy a favor. Some of them are seeking appointment to become ministers by doing such practice. What happened today? I wish today we could have allowed secret voting. That could have been obviously mechanical majority of those who are in favor of the law because of their political affiliation still can win. And the practice of in the parliament that you have said, it's a democratic practice, by the way. That's why I was saying in the beginning, Manon, that they can exercise that practice that they did in the parliament inside the parliament, not outside the parliament. But I feel the parliament is divided. Why is it divided? Because the culture of the dialogue. You know, in democracy, there's nobody who wins everything. It's take and give, as you said. But also in the take and give, in democracy does not function if you don't accept defeat. But also accept defeat by the system. So well, I tried. We argue, we dialogue, we reach. So for me, your question is that there's a side of the reforms that were there. Two scenarios. You either remove it if you don't reform it. If you want to reform, open for reform. But there's a resistance even for reform. I remember in one of the meetings we hold in Juba in a hotel with some leaders of the national security, some of them were buying the idea of the reform. They said, put a proposal. We put a proposal. And there were proposals submitted to the committee. Unfortunately, those proposals all were left behind and people ran away with the law. And let me give Manon an example. The electoral law. The electoral law, the final version of the electoral law that is required to be signed by the president is not actually the version that is signed because some changes will be made, but somebody ran away with the law. And it's not the first time. Several, even the constitution, several legislations, you come to realize some few individuals ran away with it. And that's why I do agree with you that we need to really embrace a system. Let anything like legislation undergone in a transparent system so that even if minority were not able to win their argument, they should accept it because they believe transparency have taken its cost in the procedures of how the law should be signed by the president. And sometimes you come to realize law is signed, that you come to review it and come to realize that actually there's a lot of errors. And the person question, hey, Akwana, the original version of the law that we have scrutinized it is here. Who took the different law to the president to sign it? And become a problem. Like look at the electoral law. The electoral law, if you see some of the mistakes, are mistakes that personally I know in the level of the committee were scrutinized. But unfortunately, they find the final version. So that is a practice that is sometimes annoying and sometimes is anger. But for me, as an activist, I'm a non-violent campaigner, I will keep advocating. I will keep advocating as you have alluded to, is that it's not require a lobby. And when they realize that the best lobby as a quick way of lobby is for you to lobby the president to listen. If the president listens to the argument, then let us see how we go. But part of it is a reform call. And besides this, my brother Manon, this particular legislation also is still questionable under Nairobi. Unless if you say the parties who are opposition in Nairobi, which are almost at the finishing line, by the way. Manon, I want to share with you a delegation of government left. A delegation of government, national unity, it means composed of all the parties that seem to have access, have left to brief the presidency. Why? Because we are towards the finishing line. And remember the timing is that the high-level committee is doing the review outcomes that submitted to the presidency. A team left Nairobi going to brief the presidency. The two will come into one. And that could have been an open window for what all we've been looking for. Then the question comes is why this lap now in a very annoying manner? So for me, I do respect your opinion as the same way I respect my opinion. We need to constructively argue where is the best way forward that make us secure, not in interest, the stability and the peace of our country, because we are rich and we have a long way to go. This legislation can't stop us from really progressing in our country. But we need to do things that we don't set a presidency that make people to move always with anger in heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Edmund, and thank you, Manon. Let me move to Warile. Warile, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Brother Madid, and my regards to your guest and your audience and the co-panelists in your room. Madid, I have only a comment and I have a question for your guests. But if you allow me 1 minute just to help you with the earlier explanation which you did to your audience. about the article in the bill, just to clarify what constitutes crime and offense in the same bill, and you correctly put it, Article 7. Article 7. Article 7 defines what is can constitute crime and offense against the state. It's not. I don't see that it's unclear in this bill. So just very, very quick scanning through it. For the purpose of the article, the following shall constitute crimes against offense against the state. 1. Crime and offense against the state can be divided into the penal code. Any activity relating to espionage, sabotage, terrorism, subversion, or intention of any such activity directed against or determined to the detrimental to the interest of South Sudan, and includes any other activity performed in conjunction with any activity relating to espionage, sabotage, terrorism, or subversion. An activity directed at undermining the intended or intended to bring about destruction or overthrow of constitutionally established system of governance by unlawful means. C. Any act or threat of violence or harm that is directed or intended to achieve, bring about, or promote any constitutional, political, industrial, social, economic.
That's Article 57.
I will stop here, but all this has been defined. That's my point. That's my entrance point. The Article 7 that you referred to has defined what constitutes a crime against the state, and essentially it's everything. That's one point. Also, the bill gives that when it comes to warrant of arrest, not only to any officer, any officer of the security, national security, can arrest at any place. So this is the danger of this bill passed that way. Now, coming to the voting process.
Yeah, before you go voting process away, Aurelia, I would like you to go, if you still on the article, go to page 26, article 57. So I have not read that one out yet, but that is a part of the talk about the terrorism or attempt to overthrow
Article 57.
Yeah, or government. Yeah. So any person who engage in activities relating to espionage or state terrorism or supervision or intention or any such activities directed against or discriminate to the interests of South Sudan, including any other activities performed in conjunction with any activity related to espionage or disengage, terrorism or provision or undermine or intended to bring about distraction or overthrow of the institution, election government by unlawful means, or threaten.
Against somebody coup.
Yep, exactly. I like a coup. Yeah, exactly. Or threaten a violent harm that is directed at the intended to achieve bringing about the promoting and constitutional, political, and industry or social or economy objective or change in South Sudan, including an conspiracy, incitement, or attempt to commit any such a threat or act. So, and then you go on number 4, engaging in any foreigners influence activity within or South Sudan, so that, and then go for a. So those are things. If you can see Aurelio, what they mention in this law, and these are South Sudanese are breaking this, whether the politician, leaders, or citizen, they are breaking this law. Yeah, go ahead, Aurelio.
Thank you. You know, the main concern is the legal who can do what. And I think the fundamental discussion or conversation around the role of the national security is intelligence gathering. We have other arms of the government that who can deal with all these crimes. This is the basic thing. Now, we are not in a perfect world, I understand. But Madid, you know, this thing, when it's left at covering everything, you know, it will bite the same people who drafted it and approved it. Yani, imagine, and this is real stories. If, like Madid, I have a problem with you, personal problem, and I'm a national security officer, because what the law says is not only you have committed, but if you are planning or you have the intention to plan, and this can include a big spectrum of things that can be subjective to my own understanding or verdict as a person. I can lock you in. And this is not, if I find you in the States, I can lock you in with this kind of. Now, the fact that any officer can make that judgment, I think it's not right. The fact that it includes not only evidence-based, but if somebody assumes that you have some intention of planning something, you can be locked in. And although it mentioned 24 hours, but there is this fancy word in law that says as reasonably practicable. This is what is reasonable and what is practical. Whenever you get this, you know that this is very something that is vague, because if you
and Warile,
yes,
there's this practice also in law that 24 hours you count working days. For instance, they can target you, pick you on Friday evening. You have to stay the whole Saturday and the whole Sunday, which is not counted as 24 hours, because they say the public office is not on duty, so we can't count the hours. I don't know if you come across that practice.
Yeah, that is Sudan and Gedim. Sudan and Gedim, if somebody want to pinch you, they put the warrant of arrest on Saturday. You know, lakini hinak mafi wakil niyaba. Lanu wakil niyaba ma beji fi weekend. They know that. Lakini hagana that's Philip Agwerdegat, from San Arbas comes shuhur bisijin. Yani that's the point of as reasonable practical. Lanu that's subjective to the judgment of whoever blocked you in. Yeah, Jama, we have experience in Nuzol bijibu bidakhalu fi harasa, Uzol and officer la jabu da بس بخطه يقول يا اخي ما يطلعوا لغايه انا اجي. ممكن نمشي عمليات حكومات ذاته. Then people are rotting in the cells because the individual who made that subjective decision is no longer there. And this is the logic why we need wakil niyaba, police, Gada, to handle arresting of people, regardless to the degree of the crime. the court will decide, even if it means a death penalty. But we cannot leave laws to one institution, that is a police, and also the judge. Now, the last point I want to make is this. I heard Yakani saying that there's division in the parliament, and he's advising that the law can be stopped by the president, and he will appeal to the president. Okay, fine. But Yakani, what you see is the expected outcome based on the structure of the legislature.
Yeah, I do agree.
The SPLM who drafted this bill, Akolkur didn't draft this bill. Bills are drafted by lawmakers. The people who drafted this bill, SPLM IG, they have the mechanical majority in the legislature. And the chairman of SPLM IG is President Kiir Mayardi. So I don't see how this appeal will go. Do you really think that Kiir is not aware that his party is passing a bill? Okay, assuming that the bill goes to him, then he pushes it back to the assembly. Will that change the voting, or is it his direction that will make his members do otherwise? ده أنا بخليه لكن السؤال what is the mechanism of voting in this legislature assembly? Is it until yesterday? Is it raise of hand or secret ballot? Have the legislature now adopted the SPLM procedure of raising of hands? And is it accepted procedure in the House? That's my question for Yakani. And my last point to those in Tumaini in Nairobi. This bill is the nail in the coffin of hope. Transition. No,
that is a strong political statement.
The timing of it is significant. Yakani just said that was the point I was going to make. They are about to finish, and at this point, this bill has been passed into law. Second, the timing comes after Kiir has agreed to extension. So it gives you a clear idea of the 24 months ahead of us, how it's going to be. So the hope that we have to mind, if these opposition parties cannot make a stand based on this law, then they have degreed their political death, because this is meant to do that. If they don't make action, take a position on this one, for me, Tumaini is dead. There's no hope there. Thank you very much, Majid, for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Salwarele. Anyone, go ahead if you want to respond to answer his question.
I think most of his talks are comments, which is all around interpretation and loopholes, because we're speaking to the legal loopholes that need to be repaired. And that's where, when Manon was asking about the reforms, those are the areas of reforms that Warire was raising. And these are the areas we've been engaging, we've been demanding that, look here, let us reform. There's none of us here who will stand against a crime that will stand for the state. And that's what I'm saying. If you remember at the beginning, I say is Article 54, 55, even together with 57, because that's the argument around 57. All those crimes, who have the obligation, who is supposed to investigate, who is supposed to confirm, who is supposed to recommend, who is supposed to act, those are critical legal questions. Should it be really the power of the national security, or should it be to the police? If they come across all those crimes, then they refer to the police by saying, look here, we have collected evidence substantially that is not doubtful. Please act on this. That's some of the things that people are keenly raising it and pushing it back that, look here, it is necessary for us to ensure that certain responsibility are there that been done. So that's for me. That's for me. It is a call of the reforms. His question today: the voting, the speaker asked people to stand up on favor of the bill, and those who are not in favor, let them sit down. It's not a secret ballot. There are proposal for secret ballot voting, but it was not taken seriously. The only thing is stand up. People stood up, and then that's why it caused havoc in the room. And those who feel things has gone, and that's the debate. And this is the reform we need to improve in the parliament. That even if majority can win with a transparent methodology, by the way, having a system in place and system dictate results, it will silence any other voice. Have you seen here? So if you have secret ballot voting that is counted in the eye of the people, nobody will wake up again and shout because votes determine. Even if you use mechanical majority, but as long as you use a system, that will be. So the secret ballot, the secret voting or casting of vote in a secret manner, it's not yet been a practice. We raise up, people wake up, people stand up, and that is it. And of course, we are not so much that we are against the state institution, not have a responsibility of really securing our stability and security in terms of legislation. We all need that. Safety and security are collective responsibilities. But the question comes is that don't develop a law in a way that it's tuned to be like an animal farm. You know the way how the pigs play with the law? An animal is supposed to have 4 legs. When the birds shout, they say, no, even the 2 wings equals to legs. An animal is not supposed to live with a human being at home. When the dogs and the cats shout, they say, no, you can live with a human being in a house, but you don't sleep on the bed. When they're found on the bed, then they qualify that element that some are more equal than others. We don't give a law that make it as interpretation. In terms of the principle of the spirit of the law, we like it. The problem is with the practice. The practice have contradicted, the practice have class institutions. There's a class about the role of the police and the national security. And all of us, we know that any intelligence in a national security service is together. They can do arrest, and there should be very clear in the law which cases do they do arrest. Imagine a plot issue, it becomes a national security issue. People are competing over a plot. They're supposed to go to court and they're supposed to put somebody because in the national security, he will use his powers, he will grab your land because he is, and actually become like he is a living God. So we need to read because it's an institution that all of us, maybe me, Abraham, or Warele, or Manon, one day we'll find ourselves there because it is a national duty. But where are the ethics that we can practice it that sends a message that we are doing for the sake of the country? Those crimes all defined that you have read, my brother Abraham, is a crime that nobody can impress it to be. Nobody want to be bombed up. Nobody need to be tampered with, but the legal procedures. So this is the center of the argument over the issue of this bill. And for a person like me, sometimes we reach out to some leaders. We do reach out to some leaders of national security. We do argue with them until we reach sense. We tell them, look here, today sounds good in your hand, but tomorrow it will be again backfire against you. So why do you set this presidency? Let's build something that everybody, future generations will come, because we should not carry the baggage of anger and worry throughout. So for me, that is the concerns. That's the concerns. Those are the concerns that comes in, and that's where the role of police and national security in terms of arrest and not arrest, detention, investigation need to be split, and it's very clear. Like this question, this person have put on the screen. This guy who displayed this message. You see, this message is very clear. Okay. So that is it. And number 2, in the terms of the arrest of national security, they like to exercise powers beyond the way they tortured you, the way they mistreated you, like the way how the Sudan regime was doing it. People start fearing it. In the real sense, by the way, in the real sense, Abraham, in a very democratic society, all of us are agents to our national security. If you see something that is jeopardizing the stability of the country, the safety of the citizens, and you have evidence, you cannot have the capacity to arrest, you can report. You can tell them, guys, I'm saying, let me give an example, Abraham. This is an example that personally I did. There used to be unknown gunmen in Juba, so many of them. And whenever we create a dialogue in Juba City, people talk about the unknown gun become very hard. One child came and alerted us when we were in a meeting That that woman who is washing the clothes, they say yes. That woman is hiring out the tiger uniform and national security uniform for people in the night matter. We pick it up. Imagine this is a small child who alters. We pick it up. We investigated as an organization. We got evidence. We reported. I've not mentioned the people here. Right now, they're very senior in the system. We told them, do you know why sometimes you kill people as a unknown gunman in the night hours? And when you pick them, you find them there with uniform, national security, or tiger, or police, or SPLA. But when you check their names, you don't find them in the roll call of the army because there's a desk exercise becoming common. People are dead in uniform, but when you come check them, you find they're not regular recruited staff. People ask, where did they come from? So then you say, okay, can you follow these places of washing the clothes? In Juba, they call Adube. Adube is a place for public washing of clothes. So you can bring your clothes, you can wash. So a survey was carried out of Juba City. We're involved with intelligent society. We come to realize some of the women who are not South Sudanese, who come from our neighboring countries, who have established these places for public washing of clothes. When you bring a uniform, they tell you this uniform is heavy, cannot get dry in one day. You leave it, let it be dry in 2 days. Do you know what are they doing? They're hiring them out. They wash with £5, but they're hiring it $100. Somebody use it in the midnight for $100, bring it back to them tomorrow. And this become an evidence. And that's why a decision will be made by the authority that any uniform of any security institution should be taken to the public washing place they are doing. What is that? That's national security. It means all of us are working towards the best interest of our stability and the safety of our citizens. So for me, that is the argument. And that's what Warle was raising. That is the point of contention. Why we are contesting, why we feel discontented is because those are the elements. But the spirit for us to have that argument taken seriously and considered is what is missing. Because some people want to buy favor and they want to wrestle with it. And some people are short-sighted that they see that Edimon is planning going to make a coup, let's make this against Edimon. Edimon and his friends or the group of those of so and so. So when you start developing law towards certain individual, the moment that individual disappears, you start looking for another individual. You may look for your friend even, by the way, because there's nobody. Like what have we fought in 21 years when the Arab disappeared? What have we done among ourselves? There's no more Arab. We didn't enter to a situation where we're killing ourselves because we have concepts that, this law must be responding to this and this. But if we undergone those sensitive and genuine and what Manon was saying, establishment approach for enactment of legislation, we are okay. We have no problem. None of us is an enemy to another. All of us were arguing for the best interest of South Sudan. Thank you.
Thank you, Irmon. And also, here in America, they say when you see something, say something to the police. That's the law here because that exactly. The next, Francis and Tontad, who is up next? Is it you, Francis? My screen here show me Francis. I believe it's Tontad, right?
Yeah. That is me, but let Tontad go.
No, it's you. Go ahead. It is your turn. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So is it my voice clear now?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Madid, and thank you for South Sudan Eagle Media. Thank you for our guest, Edmund Yaki, for joining us and brief us what is going on. And I believe let's greet all the panel and the listeners down. Yeah, I believe the topic is very clear about the passing of the National Security Act for arrest people without giving warrant note, which is I believe is not fair, and I believe this 21st century is not supposed to be like that. Let me do like a comment, and let me asking the question first to our guest. So now the bill is already being filed in the National Parliament. Do the president have the capability of viewing the citizen opinion? Like now, it seems like there's a lot of protest from the citizen for what being did by the National Parliament, pass the national security for people to be arrested without note or without turning arrest on warrant. Do the president have the chance to veto this bill, or he send that, or he will make a comment after that.
Go ahead.
Of course,
Thank you.
yes. The answer is yes. He have the veto to direct if he can listen. The same veto he did for the reverse of the states from 32 to 10 is the same veto he can use towards the legislation. So yes, the answer is yes. So make your comment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brother Edmund. Yeah, and that is why people need to speak to make sure that if the bill is still in the parliament without being moved toward the president, then it's good that for the president to talk. And if there is if the J1 listen to, or if there is the people who listen to the people view, then the president of Southern Sudan should be able to reverse it, what is called, or to call the speaker of the parliament, which is the Honorable Nuno, to saying this bill, I will not going to sign this bill because this and this and this. Because I believe everything. We witnessed what happened in Kenya when the protest, when there was I think it was a kind of increasing tax, and yes, thank you. And the citizens went to the street. So the president stand side to side with citizens, and the president say he will not going to sign your bill, which is exactly that what should happen to the President Salva Kiir, to make sure that I don't think if we keep doing that, then our country going to the right direction. Sorry, the wrong direction. Because in this 21st century, you cannot do the job. Even I don't think this job is the job of national security of South Sudan. National security job is to turn with something very dangerous, which is like what happened here in the United States with the FBI. There is a thing FBI cannot jam in if this thing not become increasing, which is not equivalent to the police. Otherwise, warrant arrest should be the job of the police, of the national police of the Republic of South Sudan. And I don't believe this job called national security arrest anyone without informing you, and that is not the job of national security. It's good that for you to be given note or to be called for investigation, and if you decline, then there will be a serious second note, which is saying if you're not showing up in this state, then the warrant arrest you must be captured and be arrested. Then that means this person would be aware what is going on, and that is exactly what happened. That is the rule of law everywhere. So I don't think somebody accused Madid and national security show up and arrest you. That is not right. So I urging the president of the republic to veto this bill, and I urging him this bill need to be returned, and this for the parliament to reverse it, to do the right thing. And this also a warrant arrest should not be a job of national security. It would be a job of the national police of South Sudan. So I'm not going to deal with this, but I believe all the citizens, I think there is something can unite us, regardless of differences, the parties, whether you're supporting the government or you're supporting opposition, there is something could unite us as one citizen, which is this arrest. If we let this thing happen, to be have the easy path without condemning this or without saying no, then this thing will be everybody neck. Whether you're government side, you opposition side, I think this is our job, all of us as a citizen, to say no, and we don't need to accept this bill to be parliamented or to be signed by the president. And I urge the president to veto it. So that is what I can say. And I believe, Brother Madid, you say you will comment about the passport, but I think maybe later on, maybe we will comment about the passport of the 2024.
Yeah, we will do another day. Yes, that's another topic. Yeah, I will put on all that. There'll be another big show. Yeah. Thank you, Francis. And before I let you comment, Edmund, let us take a break for a second. Take a break for water for a couple minutes. I have a video here to play the same video, different video in within Parliament. So go ahead and take a break. No, that's not it. That's this one. Okay.
As Parliament takes proactive steps to enhance legislation critical to the nation's security ahead of the general elections in December 2024, the Parliament unanimously passes the National Security Service Act 2014 Amendment Bill 2024. During the third reading, Comcom Gang, chairperson of the National Security and Public Order Committee, highlighted the thorough examination of the amendments.
In accordance with Regulation 143, 1C and 3B, read together with Regulation 114 of the Transitional National Legislative Assembly,
Okay. So
the two committees reviewed and considered the observations and recommendations of the August House, and hereby present the National Security Service Act 2014 Amendment Bill 2024.
okay, so let it stop that way. So it look like we have a technology issue there. Let me Tontat, are you there? Okay, Edmund, you can go ahead.
No, Tontat is here.
Okay, go ahead, Tontat. Take your break, Edmund. So let Tontat go ahead. Go ahead, Tontat.
Okay. Thank you, Madid. I've already contributed, brothers up here and those who are listening. Yeah, I'm happy that our government at least did something to pass the law that can arrest the criminal. I'm one of those people who is tired of the crime in Sudan. People are become lazy. They can work, but they want to steal. Like I'm one of the people who lost my properties or material this year. I lost 6 cows. Somebody stole them.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who refused to work. Right? I like the law. The law control human beings. The law control violence. The law control everything. And one of my friends already talked about.
Did you get your car back?
No.
Okay.
That's stolen. One of this guy brother here talk about freedom of speech. It's very tricky, and Americans sometimes say there are loopholes within the law.
Mm-hmm.
You see, in America here, if you follow somebody throughout, you can be arrested. They call it stalking.
Mm-hmm.
They call it stalking. You stalk somebody, right? When you keep insulting someone and you mock them, they call it bully, right? You can go to jail, bully, right? You see how tricky the free of speech is? They say freedom. You have free speech. The government said you cannot be scared to say what you want to say. They say bomb it out. You go ahead and say it the way you want to say it. You see the trick? After you say it, they say you are free to say something to someone, something bad, they will classify it. You bully him, you insult him, you harass him. They call it harassment, right? All these are coming from mouth. You harass somebody, you bully somebody, you insult somebody. You go to court for that, and you have to be jailed. And our people, when we talk of freedom, they don't understand how these words are sometimes. or what they mean exactly. Destruction. When you are doing mazarat, strike, you touch the properties, even the road, you block the road, they tell you this property here doesn't belong to you. You are not needed here, right? Even now in our state here, they say you can have a handgun, you can own the gun, but you cannot go inside the store of somebody else. If they say you cannot come here with it, you cannot, right? But you are free to have it on the street, right? And if the government arrests you on the street carrying it, you don't have a license to carry it, right? They will say you have right to own it, but you cannot carry it around here. If you are not given license to carry it around here. You see how tricky freedom is? They tell you are given permission to do it, but the law is guiding you, like GPS is following you.
Madid, can I?
Yeah.
Yes. My brother.
Can you follow up for a second? Yeah, go ahead.
You know, my brother, freedom is not free. Even human rights is not free. If you want to exercise your freedoms and your rights, that's why in a law, it says you have the right to, you have the freedom to, in accordance with the law. So there's nothing you can't do outside the law. Even the right you're given, even your right to life, you're given right to life in accordance with the law. You're given freedom of expression and speech in accordance with the law. Normally, the law is attached there to close limits, because where your rights end, someone's rights begin. Where your freedoms end, someone's freedoms begin. So I do agree with you, but we are not speaking about that we are not a law-abiding society. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Thunder.
It's getting low. Can I comment, please?
Okay, Thunder.
Okay, to wrap it up,
Yeah.
Even the clothes, the way we wear clothes, they say public decency is illegal here. You could be arrested. Certain things that you cannot wear the way you wear them in the public. Here in America, in Chicago, here you can be arrested. You can be given a ticket to go to court for makam. If you wear magluk, right, very tiny clothes, namshi mal betanas, freedom of speech, right? So, we don't level to magluk, and then you want to go to the public, and you don't want to be arrested. In America here, you will be arrested. They call it public decency. All these things are there under the freedom. They say free. There's nothing free, Ajamana. When I agree with Yakani. When I first came here, the first thing I learned, I say, Ajamana, freedom is when you have nothing occupying your brain. You have a lot of money. You have everything you need, right? Then you are not thinking too much. You are freedom. You are free. That's the only thing that I learned here. And I'm taking it here from US. Other than that, when you work for somebody, you wake up in the morning, you run, somebody telling you you're late, you are fired. You are being occupied by stress of time and everything. And you are not free. So freedom should not be taken the way it is in our country. We need law. Sudan, you need law. And we need to understand that. We need to understand that country. It's not a kingdom as other countries claim to be kingdom. Like UK, they claim it to be the kingdom of God, kingdom of human beings. That's why they combine themselves. Countries like England, Wales, and Ireland, they didn't say United Countries. You see, they say UK, United Kingdom, right? But were they ruled by a king? All of them? I don't think so.
It was maybe few of them, but the way they resemble themselves with imperialism, and why we can't be like 10 states? I mean, like now we are Ashara Ulayat. Can we be saying united certain thing, you know, win, and then we come out strongly and move on? Right now we use tribal and hatred, even in one position for one job from the tribe. People glorify that and say, oh, belong to our Kabila, lay our Kabila. That one position, if it is given to your Kabila and one person from your Kabila is put there, Maya Butawda, the Maya Buta Kabila. The Maya Butaw Brobas, Yabishili Al Butaw Le Madrasa, Ubijiba Akal Muno. Again, you will find our people fighting. We need to know how to compete, because otherwise, Al-Mashi Kushuma, in your own mouth, is your own individualism. We basically, from our culture, we were brought up as individuals, and that's why sometimes you can be different from your sibling, your brother, your sister that are born with you, because you are different. And that means individualism needs to be understood by our people, that anything somebody committed in Geneva Sudan is your own problem. You carry on your own fault. That's what we need to know. And when we understand how the law works, then we will understand that we are civilized and we can move forward our country. We are related. We are not like UK, United States, wherever you find different people who don't. They call United States, polyglot. Polyglot is a country with multiple languages, cultures. You know, in America now, if you build your school and you teach your own dialect, nobody arrests you. Nobody will say, why are you teaching your kids your language? If you teach your culture there, no one say, why are you doing that? This is what we need to do in Geneva Sudan. Our constitution is one of the best, but people are not working with it. They are not implementing it. We just go around causing problems, making unnecessary things, interpreted good thing in a different way. I am somebody who can appreciate any little move that our government is doing. Our people don't know how to make money at all. Imagine if you go to government office, right? You will find them, they are not there on time. They are not doing passport. They say the ink is finished to print the ID. And they are looking for money. Right? So, okay, go ahead. I'll come back.
Okay, thank you, Tonta. Let us give this chance to Akej. Akej is said that his phone is running out of power. Akej, go ahead. Akej, are you there? Okay, Akej, if you are there, can you open your mic? You're saying that your phone is running out of power. Okay, if you are not there, okay, go ahead, Edmund, if you want to add. Francis, you have a question?
Yes, I was trying that it's kind talking when to have us here. What we were being protesting is not because we don't need anyone to be arrested, and we don't need our country to have a law. That we need our country to have a law, but it was the issue of arrest of warrant. To be told that sometimes the crime are different. There is a crime you must be captured without giving a arrest of warrant, and there is a crime you will be given note. When someone accuse you or something happen, then you should be called for investigation, and if you're not coming, then you must be arrested. But what we were arguing here is the issue of you will be arrested without being not given note or arrest of warrant. That is what we were being. Otherwise, nobody again the law to be put into place. If somebody did something wrong, you will face the consequences for what you did wrong. And that is what we're saying here. But Brother Tonton it look like he's saying some people don't need South Sudan to have a law to arrest anyone. But what we were being trying to criticize the bill being passed is to arrest someone without informed or without being calling for investigation. But the cases are different. There is a case you can be arrested when you attack someone and you try to kill, when you confront someone, you try to kill him or her, then you must be captured in that place without. Otherwise, the case sometime or the crime are not different. That is what some people argument here like me. Otherwise, nobody afford the law to be dropped for somebody to be held accountable if you did something wrong. And that is a different year. So we need to clear that. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Let us give this chance to Atem. Atem, go ahead.
Atem is not here. Oh, Atem Kunjab, okay, he's not.
Atem, are you there? Okay, so go ahead, Edmund. We left with 10 minutes. So Edmund, go ahead.
I don't think I have much to say. What I'm trying to raise that the rest are all comments, and I think we are in the same position. We are not against the law. We are against certain values that were enshrined in the law that we feel need either a reform in terms of clarity, or it is removed if there's no clarity. Those are what we are doing. And also want to avoid a clash of mandates of institutions, like policing role should not be taken up by another institution like National Security Service. So for me, that is it. That's the argument. That's the argument that we have it. There's nobody else who is against enactment of a legislation, even when we call it for more legislations to be enacted. But we need something that respects human rights, respects standards of rule of law, respect the growth of democracy. And for my brother who spoke lightly, I will tell him that even in South Sudan, freedom is not free. Freedom and rights are guided by the law. And your ignorance about the law is not an excuse for a crime that you will commit. Thank you. I don't think I have much more than that. Unless there's somebody have comment. If no person, then we close it.
Oh, yeah. So Tim, again, Tim, are you there? Okay, Manon, you can go ahead, and if you have a last remark, and then we end the show. Manon?
Yeah, yes.
Go ahead.
Regarding this controversial, because the law itself, people agree that national security have to have a law. There's no debate about that. But the issue of arrest warrants, arrest without
the warrant.
That's what is making a lot of. But I think the based on the Article 7, when it was read it out, I think it defined exactly what this law about it, and I believe that the reason that they are not able to reach and compromise is because the other side is proposing that they just remove the arrest without warrant, and that alone is a problem because we have at least to see where we can reform the law, where we can compromise. And it's a win-win situation when it comes to the situation. Sudan.
Exactly.
Then the country still have a lot of insecurity, and our democracy is still at stage one. We are not yet really a democratic country. Let us agree on that. We still have a long way to develop the institution of democratic institution in the country, starting from judiciary, and then we go to National Legislative Assembly and executive, and also a proper orientation into the public also, so the public will be aware about their right. Knowing your right actually is most important in the law. And I think that's where the civil society with admin and Ayakani, that's where they play a lot of role on it. And they cannot play a role when they don't have proper financial tool that they can be able to disseminate the information in correct way without favoring the political goal, but they just need this public to be aware about their laws of the country and understand their laws, and then they can question agencies that may violate or they abuse the law in the country. So I think the law now is passed. We see it is passed. What we need here is also those who were actually advocating for warrant without arrest to be removed. They have to have a different mechanism, way of how, because this is not the end. It's not the end of the law itself. And this law, there's a time that will not be necessary, will not be needed at all in the country. The country is in peace, and all this insecurity in the country are being addressed, and rule of law and even the election in the country, where now the members are being elected by the people and appointed through the agreement and treaties, as we have in the current National Legislative Assembly. I do believe that reform will immediately happen. Those that are not necessary will be deleted and will be eliminated. By saying that also, I'm not ignoring that also democratic transformation in the country will need also favor law democracy, law that are favor democracy in exercise of, we don't need to see people are being arrested because they hold political rally, a peaceful political rally or a peaceful meeting that is peaceful political party that we have seen report all the time using the national security that restricted activities of political party. If we are restricting a political party activity, then there's no way we can transform ourselves to move from the military system or undemocratic system of governing into democratic system of the country. But all this along will need the peace. Because the peace will build the trust among ourselves, and the more we trust one another, politically, we'll be able to address the laws that actually will be favor for everyone. I do agree with Edmund. Even this law, even those who pass it, they can be subject to be victim of this law, and that's exactly what it is. That's what the law is. It always doesn't compromise. If you pass the law and tomorrow you violate it, definitely that law is subject to you or against you, and that's the nature of the law. So I do agree with Mani that Edmund that let us continue advocate for resolving, and I also want to express the concern that was raised earlier by Warilla Tabande. Those are the people that are not part of the negotiation in Nairobi. They are watching what is happening in Nairobi Tabani initiative. But the most important here, our people should not be guided by the action of article or constitution. That's why we need reduce the insecurity in the country, reduce the violence in the country. So those type of law can be eliminated. So I want them to continue to have a courage, continue negotiating their peace accord and reach into the settlement. And I don't think Sudan tomorrow will be actually depend on arresting people without warrants. I don't think so. There will be the time that rule of law have to voice, and rule of law will be above of everyone when the country is sustainable, is peaceful. But when the country is violent, the country is in war, there are always excuses by politicians to get away with some laws, some restriction. And we have seen, as I said earlier, even in the US totally changed after 9/11, changed the democracy. That's why they came up with Patriot Act. Till today, people are being restricted. You cannot send. There's a limitation of how much you can send it out from the US in terms of dollars. They can even stop you. There's the restriction that you can be stopped not to send money anymore until a certain time that you have to clear. All these are actually violations of privacy or freedom of individual, because this is my money. As long as I send it, whatever the business or whatever for my concern, the government should not restrict me how much I should send and how much I should not send. But why? What is the reason? The reason is terror. The reason is terrorists attacked 9/11 in the United States. That's what changed America and changed some laws. The same thing for us in South Sudan. So we need to recognize the country is still at risk. The country is still under threat, which is a lot of violence in the country, insecurity in the country, and we have to consider that. We have to consider that in a way that we have to work closely to agree to see what can be allowed and what we should hold for now. And it does not mean that we cannot go back to move and amend it. And that's why Constitution have a window always to be amended, and any law in the country have a window to be amended. And the most important is our lawmakers in the country. They have a great responsibility to do their homework. And what I have seen so far, the type of lawmakers we have in the country, those are not the lawmakers that actually do their homework and do the due diligence before they pass any law when they are debating. because I haven't heard even members of National Executive Assembly came out and advocate for what they propose legally as one of the reform and talk about it, educate the public, so at least they can get support on that. What we heard is dropped being dropped, and then drop being laid out or table it, and then being passed. And that itself is telling us the level of members of MPs that we have in our country. And who produce them? We produce them because we don't have peace in the country. We have violence in the country. We have political turmoil.
Manuel, you're lost.
Want.
Okay.
The level that we want in the country, or transformation to proceed with peace, and we need to remove all obstacles that give the window of using unnecessary laws in the name of security, in the name of the threat to the state. And cannot happen without exercising the principle of democracy. Even the current parliament is not an elected parliament. If it was elected parliament will have a different view. So the best way forward is for the power to go back to the people. And power cannot go back to the people without election. And power cannot go back to the people with the mentality of leaders that are actually demanding the power through the treaties. And they always advocate to ensure that there are treaties that will keep them to the power. Rather, the view of the public, the view of the citizens, that have to give them authorization in order for them to hold the power in the country. So without having that type of transformation country, I think South Sudan still have a long way to go. It doesn't mean that we cannot dialogue. It doesn't mean we cannot debate those special laws and all these things. We still can talk about it, but we have to recognize that the solution is our hand, and the solution is for us to reject the violence in all forms. The solution is us to promote democracy that actually will provide a better South Sudan for all of us that can accommodate us all together. Thank you.
Thank you, Benjamin. And also, before I yield my phone back to Edmund to wade in to put his last statement, I just want to let you guys know this law last year in February, President Salva Kiir did, and by the Vice President Dr. Young Machar agreed to scope this law, the Article 54 and 55. They agreed. So let me read this article out for last year. They said that President Salva Kiir did and his first Deputy Vice President Dr. Young Machar have agreed to scope the power of National Security Service to arrest without a warrant of arrest. President Salva Kiir and his deputy, Dr. Young Machar, has agreed to scope power without arrest. Speaking during a press conference held in Juba, the Cabinet Affair, Dr. Martin Lias Moro, disclosed that the two leaders have dissolved the dispute over the powers given to the national security. I quote, the national security law, where there was disagreement on section 54 and 55 about the arrest with or without a warrant, has now been agreed by the president and first vice president. Those will be scoping, said Leah Moro. The National Security Service Act 2014, which was amended in December 2019, allowed security agents and authority to arrest and detain suspects, monitoring and communication and search, research and cite the property. An arrest warrant is a document issued by the judge or magistrate that authorize the police to take into custody someone accused of committing a crime. The National Security Constitution Amendment Committee, NCAC, first handing over the National Security Act to the judge. So I will stop there. So now the Parliament passed the bill. So the bill now is on the President's table. So the question is, what will President do? Will he assign it, or will he veto it? Inamun, take over.
two possible scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
He may likely sign it if his interest is to see the law in existence. And then if he sign it, he may silence the application of those sections, which is not possible because institutions take over. Or he may remain silent and naturally become a law without signing it, by the way. If you remain silent for 30 days by the procedures and regulations of our parliament, that come to force into a law. Or he will seek a bit of a consent from other sources like at the level of the presidency or return the back. But I feel the return of this bill back to the parliament, the chances are minimum. Why? Because it's a bill that needs to come to function with the behaviors we're in and the nature of our engagement. It requires such laws to come to existence. And sometimes such laws come to existence to radicalize also more. So for me, those are the possible two scenarios. He either goes silent without signing it and become a law into force, or he immediately sign it, if he like it, and then become to force. But the question comes now, how does the trust and confidence of citizens is being maintained? And of interpretation of trust and confidence in regard to such bills is so much depending on who was able to amplify what case. That's for me, my take. And my final take is that the Tumaini peace talks is not so much affected with this bill because this bill is one of the area of reforms and professionalization of our security and defense sector. So I don't think that it's a big deal to Tumaini. Tumaini will still proceed, and these bills are undergoing discussion. Maybe the best reform one may come from Tumaini peace process in Nairobi. As I say, we are still also looking into these bills, plus the Police Act, plus the National Army Act, the South Sudan People Defense Force. So reforms will continue, as Manon have said, that democracy is not grown in one day. Democracy is a process, so we'll keep on reforming them and continue. The only thing my appeal is that whoever have had arguments, these arguments is not intended to harm anyone. We're just practicing democracy. And I would like to really appeal through your media platforms that some of our colleagues who might be arguing over this argument like we're doing here, their lives are at risk. Some of them are just texting me now that, look here, we're receiving calls, we have been threatened, that we have been feeding information, we have been handled. So for me, and we have seen what happened today in the parliament, I would like to urge, if there are people here who have ears of the national security, please, debate around the growth of democracy shouldn't be a crime that will take people to court. And I would like to repeat my brother Abraham. I did a survey on the Arab Spring, and even here in Nairobi, one of the big reasons normally citizens goes against the state is when the state start looking at this, the constructive dialogue as a voice of an opponent, which is wrong, which don't embrace South Sudan. So let's continue debating. The debate can be aggressive, can be hard, can be hot. As long we are not harming anybody, as long we are not promoting violence, let's continue the debate is healthy. So my appeal is that with all these enactment of the bill, South Sudanese should still commit themselves for a constructive and productive dialogue that make our country to be a great nation, like among great nations. The South Sudan that we want, that we fought for it. It is a process in building the state and in designing a functional government that is democratic is a process, it's not an event. And that process, it involves us talking to each other, take and give, win-win solution. Of course, sometimes we lose. It's not black and white. We need to continue dialoguing. And we'll offer more opportunities for reforms. As Manon have said, reforms are most important. We better propose reforms. But yes, we are disappointed, but our disappointment is not a ticket that warrant us to spread violence or to trigger violence to happen because we are disappointed. No, we'll continue to be disappointed today. Tomorrow will be the winners. Next tomorrow, the people who win today will be the one disappointed. And that's how democracy functions. So for me, that's really my appeal is that let's stand up as South Sudanese with the spirit of dialogue to nurture the state of South Sudan that we want and the government that we want. Otherwise, thank you for hosting me. And thank you for those who have engaged with us in the debate. Let's continue this dialogue. This dialogue will one day score the nation that we want. And all of us will be impressed and all of us will say thanks that dialogue has made us create the state of South Sudan that we want. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edmund. And this is dialogue is very important. And also, too, when the government or lawmaker pass the bill, the citizen have a say to say about the bill. The voice of the citizen, the leaders in the country should listen to them. That's all, because the power have to be to the people, not with few individual in the government. So if this bill is passed by the parliament, and the citizens think that this bill is not a good bill, they're rejecting it, the lawmaker have to listen to the citizen. Okay. So that is my message that I want to give the government, South Sudan government leaders, official. So please give the voice to the people, give the power to the people, listen to the people. You are ruling the people, you are not ruling the animal. Okay. So if people speak out, give that freedom of expression. Give that is their right. That's their right. So that right have to be given to them. So let them speak and let them give your eye, listen to what they say. And I don't want to see what happened in Nairobi, in Kenya, to happen in South Sudan.
Exactly.
Because, if the lawmaker didn't listen to the citizen, you see what happened. You see the chaos break out. Okay? And we don't need to see that in the country. So please make sure that listen to the people of South Sudan. That's what my message. So thank you, Inamon. Have a wonderful night. We will talk again about the next topic is about the extension. Another extension, because I am really having a negative feeling. Another 24-month extension. So do the government, country will be ruled by extension to extension. Okay. So this is a really challenge. And for that, so you are extension the government, but you are extension you are not extension the current government, but you extension the suffering of the people.
The people, yes.
Yeah, that's what you guys are doing. Okay.
You know what?
Ilmun, I'm really having a. Let me take into that SPLM part. Okay. That's SPLM. You've been campaigning for the last year. Said that you campaign the election take place. You spend millions of dollars of election. You mobilize your base. Huh? People come out and endorse. President has their President Kiir has their BlackBerry. So what happened now? So what happened? What happened? Why you guys agreed to extend the election to another 24 months? For all you guys did.
Let me just give a hint before I close my day. Let me give a hint.
I am
a hint is that, my brother Abraham, the hint is that the people who are right now in the V8s, they have no appetite of going for elections. People are now in V8s, and is a unifying factor. You know, extension is one thing that bring opposition and the incumbent, all of them agree. One thing, if one that unites the politicians is extension, by the way. Let's talk about it tomorrow. Let's see tomorrow. I'll share with you my facts finding after that. Even those who then beat drums for democracy have agreed for extension to continue.
Thank you. Have a good night. Yeah, let me leave this video.
Bring that back, be on your irga jol. Ore chikuton mori achila wen achiba ke churu ding pendao tumidale on your in runge die on tiara okin you achiliu tumidale on your in runge die on tiara okin you achiliu tumidale toyina pie wala rumbe kain ping William toyina will wala pibor kain ping William toyin Juba Parliamentary ayambio kain ping William toyin Benti wala kwaju wow kain ping William toyin Malkal wala pinyaram kain ping William
Pandile legisted in a yam by ban, Pinyara, where in a yam, Wawadia, Pindile legisted in a yam by ban, Pinyara, where in a yam, Wawadia, in a bull wearing, in bull elected, when a bull rally jam, when a bull was fine, and you're the garden, a good young polito, I got a ding of a bog with young polito, Kubolo Makur, Kuma young Makur, I better met it.
Pibor kain ping William toyin Juba Parliamentary ayambio kain ping William toyin Benti wala kwaju wow kain ping William toyin Malkal wala pinyaram kain ping William.